I do like what AG is doing, going a bit left field, taking out the TA, which up against this lineup, you do have decent burn damage coming through. I guess the AA has some decent DOT to burn off refraction, and Pangolier can kind of swash and burn a lot of it himself too. So and TA is not going to be the most durable up front here. It still is fairly slippery, but again, you also have Lion to keep it pinned. This does give AG some flexibility in how they want to lane that TA. They could run TA Puck, which honestly isn't too bad. I think we've seen that lane matchup a couple of times, and TA still feels like it wins out because Puck doesn't burn through refraction herself. And even though you do have the range advantage, TA just really needs a couple of points in refraction, and she doesn't care. With a point in the side blades, she can still kind of harass you out if you're not careful. So I like that AG are giving themselves options in terms of closing out. They have last pick overall as well. So carrying this flex into the last pick means that they can really read what MY has on hand and adjust accordingly and figure out what they want to do with the TA and Guap here.
Yeah. I imagine the TA must be just going mid though, right? Like with the Quap, I mean, it's against Puck, it's just not a very fun time. I suppose, like you said though, very flexible here right now for AG as MY. Have to go through their ban phase now. And what are you even banning right now? Like it seems like another support perhaps? No, they get rid of the Night Stalker, so I'm kind of leaning towards the Quap potentially going safe here, but I guess you could run it as support as well. It's just very flexible right now.
They could be considering a Tide support for AG. I think that's been a lot more consistent from what we've seen. It's just weird to say that because you have Wami, and he loves his big tanky offlaners like the Tide, like his Timbersaw. And I think Tide kind of plays into what they want. You know, Tide Snap is still a good lane. So I think this is just forcing MY to think hard, and the potential flex for Tide is what worries them. And I think that's a fair thing to call. Like, Quap offlane is still something Wami's also familiar with. You can run the TA on the mid and something else last pick for safe. Or just, yeah, again, flexing Tide to support, Quap safe lane, and something big for Wami to set tempo. MY is just not giving those options. So taking out the Beastmaster's big because you have really strong push potential with the TA, especially once Deso is up and the Beastmaster's there with the Aura. MY still looking for their pause one for KNP. Good bans from AG. We've seen KNP's Void and Wraith King before, although the Void has been a while, but the Wraith King is certainly one of his staples. There are still a couple of options. One that is showing is like a Razor. Razor against TA, Razor against Tidehunter could be really nice. Has pretty fast timings as well, so you can kind of just look to play fast with a team fight that your team has here if you do go for the Razor.
Well, about a minute and 10 seconds to think about this one. I do like the Razor too, but they do go down the TB route instead, so fair enough, just maybe a bit of a comfort pick here. I suppose it doesn't do too badly against the Tide. More importantly though, Army Geniuses, where do they head with this draft? I mean, they have last pick. It's an advantage for them. They know the Puck's going mid at this point. So I assume means we should have a TA mid coming out. Just a matter of, do you want a proper hard carrier? Are you going to flex the Quap and the or the Tide?
I mean,
you could
I think when it
still
comes
run
down to it,
yeah.
you could probably run the Pawns 5 Tide. I think Varish has done that a couple of times. Narman's definitely going to be on the snap. The question is, like, do you want to run Quap safe or off? I think that's the one for AG. Quap off against TB doesn't sound too bad. I mean, it is high armor, so you can play with a magical burst instead in laning. They go with the Legion Commander instead. So we'll see if they will put the Quap or TA safely now, but that is also another Wami special, and they will go with the Azura TA. So TA up against Puck in the mid, DB on the safe lane Quap. I think Wami's going to have a pretty decent time against the Terrorblade. Overwhelming odds. Melts right through TB. Low HP as well, so the damage is just going to always be good. We do have Varish and Narman on the Snap and Tide, though. So they do flex the Tide into a support role, which we have seen Varish do, and a lot of teams really go into. I think when it comes down to it, it's a really even draft. You have really strong win conditions on both sides here, Mike. I do like the team fight potential on MY just a little bit more. Dream Coil Plus, Ice Blast is just really scary. You've got the Rolling Thunder to potentially push people off the edge of that Dream Coil as well. And that can make things a bit dicey. But you have a Legion Commander, which can kind of counteract the control of at least one here in the Dream Coil. As long as Wami is kind of protected, you can get the press the attack and just ensure anyone who breaks just immediately gets unstunned and kind of gets to do their own thing as well.
Very fair point. I mean, looking at both drafts, you kind of wonder who has the better draft here. Like MY, you love to see the Terrorblade. Obviously, KMP enjoys playing that hero. Pretty damn great late game scaling, but against the Quap, the TA, the Legion Commander, things could get rather scary here for MY. John, where does your heart lead you? Do you like Army Genius's draft better? Do you think MY's got the advantage here for game 1?
Oh, that's tough. Because if you're asking my heart, Mike, I'd like to think I'm friendly with both teams, to an extent. But I don't know. I guess I'd lean towards AG a little bit more. I like Narman's Snapfire. I think he does a lot with that. You've got the Tide combination. You've got Ravage Kisses, which is still pretty good. Longer cooldowns compared to Dream Coil Ice Blast. But it does feel a little bit more high reward. And you have a TA win condition. I mean, sure, the TB's there on MY, but you have Magical Burst from the Quap and to an extent from your Snapfire with the Kisses as well. So I don't think it's such a massive issue until the BKB comes out at least. So I think AG should be able to play with their timing's a little bit better. But it's a very slight advantage. I think it's just very dead even on draft and it just boils down to the execution here.
Yeah, certainly so. Well, we do have a very unusual pause tonight. The first pause of the night. Very, very good to see. Happy birthday to my wife tomorrow, Jonathan. In fact, 38 minutes away, my wife will be the ripe old age of 30, which she's very annoyed about. But there you go, everyone. My wife is turning 30. Happy birthday to her.
I can't believe you just threw her under the bus there. You never tell people. Ladies never reveal their age, Mike. You're gonna have a stern talking to later on, I'm sure.
Oh, you bet your ass I will, John. She's been so nervous about it too. She thinks the world's gonna fall apart when she turns 30. It's beautiful. So get into it. There might be a level 1 team fight to break out. AG. Oh, we got the stun up. Narman, he has been caught up at a big overwhelming odds out. And rather press the attack. Still, Narman is alive. With the cookie down on the low ground, can they actually finish him off? Not quite. Narman. He gets out of it.
Gets the bail out. Really good plays from both sides. Nice overwhelming odds from Wami to kind of cut them off there as well. Are looking to force the issue though, so we'll see.
Here we go again, but another great overwhelming odds out from Wami. KMP still chasing him down, but didn't really have the reflection to throw out. Wami just constantly getting 5-man overwhelming odds. I mean, next time around, you've got to be careful, because now AG, they're ready for it. They want to try and be the aggressors, and they found Leonak. A nice Earth Spike, but it may not be enough. As Wami, he's got plenty of control.
Oh, no.
He's just holding out, and Leonak is going to go down to Azura.
Oh, Wami, he got Cookie to the high ground. He really wanted that kill. At least he had the Quellen to cut out, but it looked pretty funny. It still works out the way of AG. Even bounty rune trade in the end. You're not losing out on too much from MY, but that does set up AG for a really strong start. Having that kill go the way of Azura, helping that TA snowball, just getting that initial build-up is going to be great. And I have no idea what DP's trying to say here, but keep that all chat coming. I have no clue what he's saying.
Beautiful. Well, DB, of course, going to be up against Stylist and Seri here. It's going to be supported by Varish. The Pango Lion Lane, John, do you think there's anything for DB to be afraid about? Because it feels like Seri's just going to cop this over and over again.
Yeah, I don't think it's a very scary lane for DB. Stylist is probably the biggest fear he has. Like, if he gets the Earth Spike and Hex, followed up with the Swash and Shield Crash, it is a lot of damage onto a Quap. But Varish is doing a good job of just putting his body forward. It's hard to win out the trade against a Tide. He's just too tanky. Lion doesn't have the best right-click damage. And Varish can always threaten with a Gush and the right clicks coming through, so DB should have a solid time here. In fact, I wouldn't mind if DB went for something like a Shadow Strike focused build, looking to be aggressive, playing with the Tide slows. Because in the end, he's not really going to need Scream of Pain to clear out the creep wave, because there's no pressure coming out from the side of MY here.
Plus mid lane as well. Zora there against BB Crybait. This is what he's called himself now on this puck. So BB Against the TA, I mean, I'm sure he would have rather been against that Queen of Pain, but doesn't quite get the opportunity. Azura looks like he's going to have a pretty free time in this mid lane, though. I mean, Puck versus TA is certainly not Puck favored. His bot lane, Wommy. Well, he might drop KMP trying to find him out. We'll just have to wait for your point in a second, John. Swammy's trying to juke and KMP has not found him. Just left and right, north and south. He's actually gotten away. KMP still can't catch him. Cold Feet is there though and they finally get him. Leonak able to get the job done. KMP wasting about 10-15 seconds of his life, but well, they do eventually get the Wommy kill.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of works out in the end. He misses out on a couple of CS, but so does Wommy. It's not like Norman's going to be able to make use of that farm himself all too well, so you don't really mind. It's a nice pickup for KNP. I think this lane does have a lot of potential as well. Leonak with the Cold Feet and a Refraction Slow, you might be able to get someone slowed out to the point where you get that proc. Of course, you have to watch for that press the attack. It does have quite a bit of a cooldown at level 1 though, so that is something you can time yourself and pace yourself around. Still have to respect that cookie stun and damage coming through from Wommy and Norman here.
Yeah. You haven't got that moment of courage available, just I'm sure somewhat annoying here for Wommy, but still plenty of damage to be dealt out here against KNP. It's 1-1 already between these two teams. Back to the mid lane though, Azura. I mean, I was kind of mentioning earlier, John, it just feels like Azura is going to have a very free game here on this Temper Assassin. In fact, hold that thought again, because top lane now, Varish was in trouble. But going back to my point, do you feel like BB can do anything to slow down Azura this game?
Not in particular. We've seen this matchup so many times before. It's not as common now because you don't generally pick the puck against TA anymore. But Azura, there's just no way to burn through Refraction. There's no way to get good damage off for BB to harass Azura. Azura can just play with the side blades and just keep controlling the lane. Not under any pressure at all. 21-7 top in CS, a full wave above BB. That is going to put the puck back a bit. I think for the side of MY, you can kind of relieve that with a line rotation. Stylist can come in with a Hex, with a Earth Spike. Maybe even Seri has to show up with a Swash to just have it burn. But that would be a lot of commitment. I don't think they want to give that much of a free lane out to DB. Safe lane Quap snowballs pretty hard, especially if you hit that Kaya Sanj timing really quick, which is what we tend to see on these side lane Quaps. So they have to keep him in check. And that does mean that BB's just going to have to deal with that. At the least, he has a small camp to play with. No sort of sentry blocks coming out from the side of AG. So there's some gold still flowing in. It's just not the fastest process.
Oh boy, KNP! Scatterblast just destroying him. KNP just getting completely blasted by Narman. In the meantime, Stylus gonna die to DB on the Quap. Varish does at least go down to Seri though. Bit of a trade at the top lane, but going back to the Terrorblade, John, KNP just underestimating the damage from Narman. And you brought up the fact that Narman is very good in the Snapfire. He kind of just knows exactly how far he can push this hero.
Oh yeah, you really have to respect that Scatter Blast. Point blank damage, just ridiculous. Plus 50% damage. That's almost a 225 nuke at level 2. And KNP, that's around half his HP. So you're not that durable at all. They're not focusing on the minus armor aspect of the snap here. It is all about the magic damage. Even Wommy, as you mentioned, Mike, he's skipping the moment of courage entirely, going for a 2-1-0 build. So really just focusing in on using the overwhelming odds, punishing the TB when he comes up close. Only so much Leonak can do, as there is a slight combination with Cold Feet, Refraction, and Chilling Touch, but I don't think it's going to be enough to pin anyone down. And again, you have Press the Attack to dispel. So your own offensive capabilities are really limited here on MY, hanging really on your use of Metamorphosis.
Leonak, not too far. Cookie is going to land there from Wommy. Oh, Scatterblast is off the mark this time. Narman. Bit of an unusual mistake here from our Snapfire, as it's going to cost him his own life. Wommy just unable to help out after the initial engagement. Was not expecting that Scatterblast miss, but I suppose it happens to the best of us.
That it does, Mike. And it's a nice pickup for MY to kind of rebalance the lane. I don't think Norman's going to mind too much. The side of MY Arson to get some decent aggression up top. We saw DB drop fairly low, but is just kind of juggling around his tangos with the inventory swaps as well. And Varish is still really tanky. No points in the Kraken, just keeping the gush, putting his body forward, getting the right clicks off. our Quap is having a really good time in comparison to KNP, 34-13. KNP a bit behind that and still hasn't died, so DB's getting a lot more here, and that should lead to that quick, maybe triple null, double null power treads into Kaya Sanj, and you just start joining in these fights ASAP compared to the TB, who's gonna need to sit in jungle and catch up a bit.
No, I'm sure that's the idea, right? Because your real carry is, of course, the TA in the mid lane, and Azura. He's doing a fantastic job right now. 3.6k net worth on that Templar Assassin. Has the jungle to go back to as well to just escalate that kind of farm. And I do agree with your point, John. I think as DB, you'd rather just get active. Allow Azura that space to just carry the game, as you could just get active ASAP. They're trying to make the play onto Seri, but miss out on the kill. Same thing happening down at bot lane, but Wami is going to get caught out. And with the cold feet, will get taken down by Leonak. The Stylus with a nice rotation on the line to ensure that they deal with Wami on this LC. There's going to be no kind of response across the map either. Or is there? A Seri may have gone too far, but not quite far enough. DB, he won't be willing to dive that tier 1 tower, especially when BB's around.
Yeah, they are at least getting the puck to respond up top, so you're not potentially just getting snowballed down bot and kind of holding the puck off from seeing that opening to get a kill as well. Does slow down BB's timings just a tad, considering how slow his lane is. He'd love a pickoff to start to get that ball rolling his way. AG doing a great job of forcing these responses across the map. But you are slowing Wami down to a really great extent here. Our Legion Commander's bottom network core right now kind of tied in with Seri, so it's not too bad. Both offlaners having the slowest start. But you don't really flash farm too well as a Legion. You do need some items up and running a lot faster compared to the Pango, who really needs mainly levels. And I think that's where the power difference will lie. MY is going to be able to at least play around with the Rolling Thunder and Dreamcoil soon. Wami, he could line up for some duels. They don't really have the kisses to ensure the duel wins happen just yet.
Narman just being an absolute pest, but this time will get punished as BB again going to rotate with that haste rune. Narman trying to escape with the cookie to the low ground, but it is not going to be enough as BB. It's full use of the haste, even finding the courier of Narman, just leaving no trace of the Snapfire on the map. Let's go back to scout out to make sure no stacks were being made here for this TA, and they haven't. So Azura, no real stacks to go back to, but he doesn't mind, John. He's already so farmed up. He just wants to go into that mid-tier 1 tower, but Dreamcoil is going to connect, and Rolling Thunder is there from Seri. Problem is they have not knocked him out of that Dreamcoil, so he's just perfectly fine as the cookie is going to buy him more time, and he will make his way back in onto BB, who tries into Varish, but just doesn't have the damage for the tide to drop. Seri now will be targeted, but is able to swashbuckle away. A lot of commitment there onto Azura. Ends up meaning nothing, however.
It's a lot of dedication to try to slow down that TA. I don't think Azura minds too much. Just think about how much space DB's getting to get that initial farm up. Kaya's not too far off. Will be rotated on, but is protected by a very good forward ward here from the side of AG. And the sentry doesn't catch it, Mike. He's going to stay protected. He's going to have all the information he needs on the Quap to dodge these ganks and just shift the focus away from the TA, because that opens up mid now for Azura, keeps that shove in, can clear out some camps, and Varish is inching towards level 6. Not quite there, but has the threat of Ravage up soon.
He might be dead though, as Azura is going to try and help and at least find a trade. A lot of damage on Seri is going to mean a much better trade for AG. I mean, Seri, sure you get a tide kill, but giving your life away as an offlane Pango, not going to feel very worthwhile.
No, definitely not. And you only lose a support in exchange. You're going to get this mid as well. Fortify is already forced out with the siege creeps up there, Mike. They're going to need to bring the numbers in to stop this push.
Try. Force Azura back, but Narman is still around. In fact, Cookie is barely going to be avoided there by BB. But Varish, he's back now with that level 6 up. Ravage available for the team fight, and MY, they know about it. They do not want to force a fight right now. Still trying to find at least a pick-off for themselves, but they're just going to have to let this one go. A big win for Army Geniuses. They take the tier 1 mid for nothing. Just absolutely no punishment. Zwami perhaps maybe gets caught out bot lane, but no. Spots out Stylus with that Observer Ward. And now the cavalry incoming. Leonak is going to get gushed up into the trap, and Azura will happily move his way into the backside. They'll even commit the Ravage and the Sonic Wave. Just clean him up. No need to waste that extra couple seconds. In fact, have they got a puck? It looks like they almost do. Narman trying to go for a solo pickoff onto BB, and he's gonna get it! Oh, Narman! 1 versus 2, he still kills off that mid puck.
Oh, that is so big for Narman. Just making space, ensuring the bot push just gets through without a hitch, killing off the momentum setter for MY as well. And that's going to stall out this blink timing just a little bit more, and BB needs that to be able to make the plays in this game. They aren't getting much out on the map from MY. They're trying to push up top. Seri's trying to get that done by himself, but his push potential just isn't that strong as a Pangolier. And we're at the point where DB is very comfortable to start rotating. Just with a Kaya up, his damage output is very damn high, and his Sanj isn't too far off, so he's going to be tanky as well. It's the timing that AG wants to play with to enable their TA, and now Azura, with a protection of the mid advantage with the tower, he's going to be able to clear out his own triangle just fine. No contestation coming through from MY, no wards even in the triangle area. Sure, they managed to take control of the top area. AG still has wards in the top jungle anyway, so they know when its support's kind of scurrying around a bit too far, they can look to punish, and they can look to still keep building up. Well, we haven't even seen the full teamfight combination come out yet, Mike. No kisses out from Narman with a Ravage just yet. They've still got a lot to show as this game scales on for MY. It's a game of patience now. It's all about getting KNP what he needs, give him space in his own triangle. He is building up, but the Terrorblade spikes are a bit slower, especially in comparison to the TA. Azura only lacking really the Desolator, and he could just show up and melt people.
They're going to try mid lane. Azura, he's just too tough of a target right now, I think. Like, you've got to get through the refraction charges, you've got to get the Ice Blast into the finger to even have a hope of killing off that TA, and a great scan out. They know exactly where they are. Line drawn out by Farish to kind of give the indication of where they're going. And Azura, he backs off at the right moment. I mean, even if you manage to land the Dream Coil, I still question whether you would have had enough to deal with this TA at the moment. Now, the counter is here. Farish has moved in. Ravage is going to connect onto 2 heroes with the Mortimer's Kisses. They got Silas down. Jewel out. They'll get a second. Both Silas and Leonak to drop. You do at least get BB out of there, but it's still a very worthwhile trade for Army Geniuses.
I mean, it's 2 support kills for 1 support and a couple of ults. So in the end, you could say that's a pretty heavy commitment from AG, but it's not like MY is going to be looking for a fight anytime soon anyway. So you take what you can get, keep shoving out the bot lane, keep working the mid to your advantage. You're building up really fast in Azura. Desolator flying out, Mike. So now he can actually rip through these heroes. And you have Wami's Blink. So you can actually jump in, start these fights for the team, get the duels off, pin down 1 target very fast, and just kind of clean up from there. I think the big Blink target will actually be the puck. If they can catch BB out with a duel, the follow-up damage is there, and you don't have to worry about the Dream Coil. You don't have to worry about this pesky, slippery puck messing up your back line. And that just kind of destroys a lot of the teamfight of MY in these engagements.
That it does.
A prize.
A very tough time now for MYs. It just feels like they cannot put up with a team fight from AG. They might be able to try and set up onto DB, who has blinked forward. Rolling Thunder, though, is not going to make it in time for BB. He'll be there along with KMP. They should be able to find some form of a trade, and they will. A very valuable trade for MY. Something that felt like they desperately needed. They'll be able to take it.
It's a good kill on the core Quap. And that does also give them some space for KNP to play up top, clearing out the jungle, knowing that it's safe. They are having to stick together really tightly as a team in comparison to how spread out AG is. And you're still farming up on the TA, you're working that bot lane, you're working the mid lane. Whereas for MY, it's all about top. They're not making much progress in the other lanes. That is something AG is using quite well to their advantage. They're getting a lot of farm on other cores. Sure, you sacrifice the Quap, but again, Kaya Sanj is up, Mike. You don't really need much more than that at this point for the Queen of Pain yet.
You don't. Back towards that top lane, I mean, KMP, he's still sticking around, but out of range far enough. They won't be able to catch him and lock him down, so instead, down a bot lane, you've got Wami to jump in with the jewel into the Mortimer's Kisses. They just want a quick bit of jewel damage. They might not be able to get it in time, and they won't. In fact, the reactions were way too fast here from MY, as they do clean up both. Great rotations out from the Radiant. It's really punishing that kind of play from Warmy and Narman. And they didn't even get the dual damage in the end.
Yeah, just a bit too greedy there on the side of AG, trying to look for easy pickoffs, not respecting the counterfight potential from MY, so they do manage to bounce back with a little bit more. 11 to 11, very even on kills, but again, if you consider what happens around the map while AG sacrifices some of their heroes, you're just getting more farm. Your TA is still free farming in the jungle, your QoP is still building up a lot faster than TB is, and you're going to hit those initial items that you need a lot faster here for AG. I think for MY, there's some pressure here on BB to kind of escalate with the blink up. If we have to see some big blink initiations, we have to see him be really slippery in this game. You also want the blink up on Stylist as soon as possible, because that Lion Hex is going to be key in pinning down the QoP and pinning down that TA. And that's still a ways off. Roche being started now with that Desert timing up. Doesn't take too long to melt, but a smoke play from MY here.
Very, very fast though. Can they make it in time? Leonak, he's going to break the smoke and realize what's going on, but the Jordan's already there. Into the Ice Blast they try, but it's not going to be anywhere near enough. AG just too quick on the fingers as BB now going to try and steal. He actually snatches the Aegis away. Oh, BB saving the day on the puck. AG going to try and chase down and punish, but they won't be able to find him. So you lost 2 supports, but you do take the Aegis back the way of MY.
Yeah, that's pretty big. BB's got a lot of leeway to take these next few fights. Respawns aren't too far off for the supports as well. They could actually look to play aggressive with this. I don't think the side of AG minds too much. I mean, that is a pretty big blow, but this just kind of signals to AG that they can just sit back and farm some more. And with their TA, with this kind of farm escalation, I don't think you mind at all. Like, that is going to be the BKB that can line up here. The spell immunity against the puck without the Ags up, which is still a ways off, means that RTA is going to have a lot of room in where she can and what she can do in these fights. You do have to be wary of MY clumping around this Aegis though. They are playing together as a team in the bot area, trying to get their own wards out, getting some vision to ensure that they've got some control in the area and some punishment to do. DB does manage to read that well and backs off in the nick of time. I think right now for BB, he's still split pushing the top. You really do want to see that opportunity come in for the puck to force the fight. With the Aegis, still a lot of time left, but we've got to see some sort of play with the Aegis snatch here from BB.
Right now, it looks like they're just going to try and play the avoid game and keep buying time for KMP. Link now up on Varish though, so you've got some great initiation from your Tide. It's that point where the Pos 5 Tide just becomes so much more influential. It just seems like MY, while they've got that Aegis, are not anywhere near ready to try and fight into that. And Azura, once he has that BKB up, things get very, very scary, and I think it might just be on the way. Do spot him out, Leonak. Should have seen him TP, but they won't be able to get there in time to cancel. Instead, there's going to be a big group up. I think they want to go for that surprise reveal with the Blink Ravage. If they could somehow spot out KMP, which they do right now, this could be very problematic for MY, who just TP'd up toward the top lane. Oh, no! Wami, no! Oh, he got the wrong target. Seri's going to jump in, trying to fight back. They've got Wami locked down. Cookie forward, though, is going to allow him to get out, as you've still got the Ravage. Varish, looking for the angle, is going to find Leonak. Make the jump in, but does not commit that big ulti. Be a little bit greedier to hold on to that as Leonak and Stylus both trying to get their way out. Stylus will drop. Leonak should be alright, but not quite. DB will get the job done eventually. A little bit of an unfortunate start there, though, for Army Geniuses, considering they should have really had the KMP kill.
Yeah, it looked like Wami would have been able to find the right target, but just jumped straight duel, so he didn't really soften them up to find out which one it is. BB a bit forward here, though.
That he is, and the Koi all gonna lock him down, but there's your Ravage now being committed onto 3 heroes with a big overwhelming odds. Jewel committed as well. Aegis down for the puck. They really want Seri gone, and they've got him. KMP, even with the meta up, does not feel comfortable to keep fighting, but BB, he'll try, at least finding Narman, but now the chase is back on to try and punish this puck. But they won't have enough control. There's Varish. Oh, he's gonna get connected by that Ice Blast. There'll be another death for Army Geniuses. And MY, they do find some success. in all this tyranny that's been happening from Army Geniuses, they actually win out a team fight for themselves.
They do find a lot more in that trade, only having to sacrifice really the Aegis and Seri kills. Pretty important for AG, but not the biggest loss for MY. They protect KNP. He has the Scotty up. He's very tanky in that Terrorblade. We have to see... there's a lot of pressure actually on Wami to get that proper duel off. But you have to pin the Terrorblade. You have to prevent the Sunder from coming out. Ensure the Kisses fly out as well, and Sonic Wave, all your magic damage is on top of it. Then you can kind of clean up, but Wami's got to nail that initiation every single time, and it's easier said than done. They are looking to line up on the puck, but it is rather slippery with a blink and with the orb up, so kind of optimistic to keep BB pinned down now. Could be an engagement bot though.
Azura running right into 3 targets with the Rolling Thunder control. They might have enough to press the attack. It's there to save. As Seri is forced to roll away and leave Leonak to die. It seemed like the perfect initiation onto Azura. But again, they're just lacking so much damage. To press the attack to follow up, Wami just enabling the BKB to pop, and Azura, he's just freely able to walk away.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
He gets a kill for himself. He transitions to a bit of a bot push. Fortify is forced out. Creep Wave's going to be held back a bit, but the side of MY's not in a particularly strong position for the defense yet. They still have Dream Coil, Metamorphosis in half a minute, so KMP can TP in to help, but that tower's not going to hold long with a Deso up on Azura. And it looks like they will just go ahead and surrender the tower, not looking to force the issue too hard. AG, 9k lead, Mike, 23 minutes in. It feels like there's a big TA issue for MY to have to deal with, and they don't really have the best answers as of yet. They are getting that big build-up on KNP. He's not actually too far behind the TA. Only about 1,000 gold behind, so you are getting some good scaling from the Terrorblade. It does feel like you're going to need to stall this game out for a lot longer for the TB to really hit that massive spike. Maybe something like the Silver Edge to come through, or just the Daedalus. A Butterfly could be really nice as well on top. Nice duel though.
Yeah, very nice duel out. Wami able to find another duel win for himself. Bring him up to 60 damage, but more importantly, gets Seri taken care of. And that should mean the mid-tier 2 tower. Without the Pango up with the Rolling Thunder, it's very hard to try and defend this. On the brighter side, you do at least get the top tier 2 tower, thanks to Stylist. I'd say the mid tier 2 definitely much more valuable here for Army Geniuses, and would be uncontested. They won't even try.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Gotta play it safe on MY. Just they need the Pangolier to be up with Rolling Thunder to play with their Dream Coil combination. And when Seri's down, that just means the team fight's a lot harder than it should be. They do at least pick up that BKB on KNP, so again, he can stand up front. Nothing to pierce through that except for the duel, and they're going to go for a smoke play on that.
Gonna try. Keep in mind that Blink Ravage, it's still up. Sure, you've got no kisses, but I doubt that's too much of an issue here for AG as MY. We'll try to infiltrate that dire triangle, but we'll find nobody. In fact, it's going to be a 5-on-5 smoke now. AG want to be the aggressors, and it seems as though they know exactly where they are. As MY, they get the tier 1 mid. AG still looking for that initiation. MY seem to know they're around somewhere, so they'll hold the high ground. Nobody's showing quite yet. They'll hang around across the mid lane. Neither side finds the jump they really wanted. That being said, Army Geniuses, they are quite split up now. You might be able to force it onto DB if you wanted to. Problem is, you need to blink in with that Hex out, and it looks like the side of MY, they're not interested.
I thought AG kind of gave their position away by dropping that ward in their smoke, so that did reveal to MY where they were, but they didn't want to jump in first. MY were looking for someone to overextend. No one from AG gave them that opportunity, so it's kind of a stalemate, and that's a pretty big advantage for AG, because now they can just focus on the push to take the top tier 1, going for the top tier 2 now. MY doing the same thing down bot, shoving in tier 1, going for the tier 2, but I feel like the push process from Azure right now is just a lot faster. No Metamorphosis up on KNP, slower process for him. This could be the last outer tower falling from MY, and they're not around to defend it.
Yeah, not. They are going after that bottom tier 2 though. So still trying to get a trade going. It seems fine right now for MY, considering they are still 10k net worth behind. Be able to get something for their trouble, but now they're going to try and defend this top tier 3 tower. Azura, even without an Aegis up, is going to try and force them back. That might be enough though. Wami just get clipped by the Ice Blast, but really nothing to lock him down. Actually, Army Genius is satisfied with what they've got. They'll back off, and I suppose both teams are kind of waiting out their next Roshan right now. That there is going to be a big smoke up. MY try and make their way over. They've drawn out the lines right. They get a nice scan off as well. So they seem to be aware of the positioning. In fact, they've scouted out DB. Hex is there. They've locked down the Quap, and they should have enough damage to try and burst them down in time. Another press the attack. It does block out the finger damage. The KMP's forced the meta up, but there's your Ravage out, and they just blow him up. Seri, oh, he tries to help out, but there's no helping. In fact, Stylist, the Psyblades were landing this whole time. Nice cookie dodge, misses the Scanner Blast, but it won't matter too much. Wami does end up securing the kill. Just a real mess here for MY as AG find even a fourth. Leonak to drop to DB.
Just great stun stacking out from AG. The patience from Wami to jump in once the stuns were sort of fading, get the duel off, prevent the Sunder from coming out in TB. They just managed to clean up really well, and AG not quite going for the high ground. Respawns are fairly short, but Roshan is up, Mike. Now this is a bit of a weird spot for AG. They did win the fight. They had to use Ravage, they had to use Kisses, they had to use Sonic Wave. None of those big teamfight spells are up, but Azura can still clear Roche really fast. Has the Daedalus up. This is not going to be a long process at all, with the low Shredder minus armor as well. Side of MY has to be quick if they want to contest, but not really aware that it's happening. The Ice Blast is flying through, but it's a bit too late.
Azura happily will take the shards, take the Aegis for himself. And MY just continue to be in more of a disadvantageous position now. 14, make that 16k net worth behind. More importantly though, with the double life up on Azura, I mean, you've seen how hard it is to deal with him once. It feels impossible to deal with him 2 times. So much damage coming out from Azura at the moment. Just doesn't feel like a very similar story here with KMP right now on this TB. They found though, they do end up running right into the tide, but Cookie is going to try and create some distance to the Ice Blast. It's going to be off the mark. Varish, even as that pos 5, as long as he's playing Tide, he's just not going to be that squishy. Seems like so much commitment, but just nothing to come out of it.
Yeah, I mean, Rolling Thunder is a fairly low cooldown, but there's a bit of a window for AG where they can go in, knowing that the follow-up control for Dreamcoil isn't there. And I think that's what's holding MY back. They just haven't been able to fight around their strengths. Fight with the Dreamcoil combo, with the Rolling Thunder on top, with the Ice Blast following through. The initiation of AG is just a lot easier to pull off. You've got Ravage catching everyone out. You've got Duel to catch one. You've got the AoE damage from the Quap and the TA to an extent, and Snapfire. And it's just a lot easier to land that than multiple heroes. So you're just going to go against Smoke Out. They know Rolling Thunder's down for a bit. MY are in pretty good defensive positions, although Seri's gone.
Well, DB able to find a solo pick off of the Quap. Having a great game thus far on this Queen of Pain. 10-2-7. 16k advantage, and again with Azura being so farmed on that TA, double life available. I mean, all you can do right now as MY is just split push. Hope to buy even more time to find a better opportunity to go for this high ground defense, but AG at the very least seem to want to try and force the buyback out of Seri. They do have that siege creep. That'll be enough for them to get through the backdoor protection. 8 seconds for the Pango, but it seems like AG may not really care about that. Army Geniuses, very conservative about it, not overextending. slowly chip away there with Azura. Just get rid of that tier 3 tower to really open up that Rax. It seems like they're not 100% confident though fighting into the high ground. Even with the Aegis, they are going to back off and just wait it out. And at the end of the day, if you control the whole map, that means you control the farm. And right now, MY, they're getting nothing.
Yeah, they're not really able to keep building up in KNP. They're not able to close this net worth gap between BB and DB. Honestly, the puck does feel like it does need the Ags up and running to have that big impact in team fight. DB's just constantly on the hunt. Oh, sorry.
You find the Pango. Can they get the jewel off? Wami, he's not going to make the blink in. There's a very spicy double damage rune down to that bot rune spot if they want to try and go back for it. Zura does have the vision. It's like DB is going to hand over the bottle, so they'll go ahead and take that. And that might be the game changer to go high ground now. I mean, you've got double the damage here on this TA. Still a minute and a half of that Aegis timer. It's BB. He's going to try and just split push while he can, but it seems... Oh, that's a very nice scan out. He has been scanned. Let's just see if they can catch him, and they get the silence off. DB right on target, into the jewel. It's perfect initiation there from our Quap. And now you definitely want to force the buyback if you can onto BB.
Oh yeah, that's the target they needed. You know, just getting that kill, forcing him to make that choice whether or not he wants to save up for the Ags, or if he's really necessary for the high ground defense. And I think he is. He's going to start applying that pressure. It's going to be a bit tough for MY to hold back without the puck, and if they don't buy back, they might have to surrender at least one Rax here.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Want to lose the tier 3 tower, that's for sure.
Dire's middle tower.
Zura, he'll go in for the Rax. Seri, going to commit the Rolling Thunder, see if he can find some kind of lockdown here onto anyone, but DB just jumps in onto Leonak. Ravage, though, is going to be wasted here by Varish. It doesn't land on any single hero, but they do get the buyback they wanted.
Dire's middle
So I suppose at the end, you find a kill onto that AA, you got a T3 tower, that's going to be enough for AG.
They forced the buyback in the puck anyway. You know, they forced BB to come back in, that stalls out the Ags once more. Aegis expires at the right time for Azura as they go on the retreat. And AG can now play the patience game. They've got control of the map, as you pointed out earlier, Mike. They can just wait for Roshan. They can just keep farming, get this butterfly up and running on Azura. Even more damage coming in for the TA. Evasion that the Terrorblade isn't quite set to deal with yet, although he will have a Silver Edge at least to have at least some sort of break on the passives. But I think you're still fairly well set here on AG, and MY are still struggling to find map space. They're just playing in their triangle, they're sticking very close together as a team, limiting their growth individually. And that's where AG's just trumping them. They've got a lot more farm on their individual heroes, and they're just kind of set to keep all lanes shoved in. There's just not much room left except for the top lane here for MY.
The butterfly even up now on Asura to make matters worse for KNP. I mean, in all fairness, they have still held high ground. You've got to give credit to MY for that. See how much longer they can hold it, though. I mean, they seem to be just waiting out the next Roshan, but just plenty of time to go before that's up. I think Army Geniuses aren't going to be too afraid to try and go high ground before that next Roshan. MY, though, still split pushing that top lane, doing a decent job of it. I suppose, again, Army Geniuses, they just feel no real rush to try. I mean, they know the lanes are being split pushed. They know Roshan's got a while to go. Pings are out for BB. So they might want to try and secure this puck kill again and get a die back, but it's going to be a very hard ask. So BB is just going to TP right out of there. They did have the vision to scout out. They were making their way over. And now a line's been drawn out, so MY, they'll just stick in their base. They'll just wait for the next high ground attempt.
And their high ground hold is really strong with the Dream Coil, with the Rolling Thunder, the Ice Blast. That's where the AoE control they have does shine, but you also have to respect Army Genius' own AoE control, the Ravage Kisses and Sonic Wave. The BKBs are just kind of making it tough for Varish to see that opportunity. So maybe some more patience from our Tide is what they really need for the high ground siege. Varish is working on his refresh. As a pause 5, that's going to take a while to finish up. Once it's up and running, you kind of don't need to worry about that timing too much. MY will try to go for a smoke play, though, want to reach outside their base. And if they're lucky, if they win this next fight, and if the Roche is a fast respawn, this could be sort of the momentum swing they need to get back in this game.
That smoke up. Lines being drawn into that dire jungle. It's DB narrowly going to avoid it, but KMP has not had his smoke broken yet. Has the Silver Edge anyways. He runs right into the middle. 4 of them. They dream coil up onto DB, but they press the attack again. Gonna buy him some time. The Sonic Wave is there, but he does end up dropping a KMP. Maybe this will be the team fight for MY. Maybe they can finally get it done. Swami for a run. Meantime, Seri almost dropping low. They might want to reinitiate now as Azura just deletes Leonak with the traps out and the Ravage Varish. He'll reinitiate onto 2, and Seri and Stylus, they are just gone. It was a great start, John. I mean, DB just gets blown up, but it just didn't prove to be enough.
They couldn't pin down any of the bigger heroes. They cut their losses on MY really early on, but that just leaves their supports vulnerable, and now the Roshan's open for AG. Like, they know it's up. If MY won the fight, of course, they would be the ones taking this, but now it's AG's time to really shine. Free refresh as well. It's going to be big for Varish if he wants it. Double Ravage going to be in play, or at least a Ravage ready to go ASAP. And the side of MY just have no fight opportunity there. Without the Pangolier, it's just impossible to force the issue. They will just let it go. Azura protected again with a second life. And DB's not too far off from the respawn. Half a minute away. Queen of Fane's going to be able to join in. The high ground hold of MY is still strong, mind you. Like the Dream Coil Ags upgrade on Puck is just a bit too much, holding them back from breaking with BKBs. I think that's the worry for the side of AG. That's why they're so cautious on the high ground. Now, but if they're patient enough to wait for Ravage to just be off cooldown, double Ravage should be able to give them an edge here.
MY still not out of this game yet. So with 26k net worth advantage from AG, but just not feeling too comfortable to push in, as they do now have the Swift Blink up on Azura. MY? It's only a very slow game now between these two. It seems like, again, AG just in no rush. Surely now that the lanes have been addressed, you try and make the play with the Aegis. They are going to try. Thunder, though, immediately out onto the TA, but the Lotus Orb going to protect with the press the attack. Will buy time, so Stylus gets blown up. Azura, though, is dropping low, but is able to get out as now BB. He's in danger, but he does phase shift himself out of there. Do you want to keep going? You got to buy back there on Stylist. Azura definitely just does not want to get blown up immediately here by the side of MY. Nice blast. Not connect, so Azura again going to be just fine. Yet to find the opening they're looking for. That'll be the bot lane of Barracks to finally go down here for Army Geniuses. Now, I suppose they can just slowly rotate and just start working on towards the mid-racks.
Yep. They still have Ravage ready to go. It is off cooldown along with a refresh shard. It's a double Ravage in play. MY are going to have to really work for that angle. They need a good Dream Coil. They need the Ice Blast on top. They need a Rolling Thunder on top of that as well. Whereas for AG, they just really need to wait for BKBs to kind of fade. Get the double Ravage on Varish and clean up from there.
Tier 3 tower. Siege now is KMP going to move in with the Silver Edge again, just trying to target Azura. It's the attack making it very hard. They'll go for a bit of a strike as the Rolling Thunder now is there with the Dream Coil. Varish being targeted. He's very low. He's still alive though. He might be able to get the Ravage in time, but no. They do get him down. They'll go for the fight. Seri though needs to roll his way out and does get taken down by Naman. However, they do at least find Wami, but they've lost BB. A bit of a mess here in this team fight, as KMP's been left behind. He'll go for a BKB out with the Sunder and try to mad fight Azura, but Azura's happy to oblige. He does at least get the Aegis down. In the meantime, Leonak does drop, and now with the Mortimer's Kisses, they've lost everybody. MY, they've been left with Seri here to defend. In fact, make that 2, BB. He'll buy back, just barely having enough gold. But can you really defend this final lane of barracks with just 2 heroes?
No, not without the Dream Coil. They really need that to make the play happen. It was a very good picking off of the backline, but that just means that Vrish still has a Ravage to play with. He did pop the refresh earlier on, so we'll have at least one more to go. Mega creeps us up. MY, not seeing many opportunities for the last line hold. They are trying to cut around here, to cut out the creep wave to prevent that push, but I don't think it's going to really stop the progress made here. The bot wave is still leaking up. And Azura has damage to see.
Oh, there's your Ravage as well. Onto Seri. That'll be a dieback on the Pango. They don't mind. Why not? Just commit the Ravage. As the buyback does finally get committed by KMP now, but you've got the Mega Creeps. And well, look at the amount of damage output. KMP, no! Well, I mean, I guess the game was already lost anyway. Why the hell not? Ultra kill out for DB as the GG does finally get called. Army Geniuses able to take game number 1.
AG showing up in really strong form here. Their laning was great. They had the patience to play this game. They didn't force the issue out too early on there, Mike. And they just played a very clean game for Dota. Shut down the map, prevent MY from building up. And for MY's part, I think they had the right idea with how their team fights were working out, but we never saw it executed. You know, we never saw the big Dream Coils with a Rolling Thunder. We did see some good Dream Coils and some good Rolling Thunders, but not all of it stacked on with a great Ice Blast to follow through. And with this specific lineup, it felt like they had to play that way. Because when AG's own fight potential is just so much easier to pull off, just walk in with Ravage, huge AoE control, kisses flying through everywhere, one good solid control in Wami's duels. And then you had this great dynamic with Azura and DB, where DB took a much more active role and Azura was the actual core. MY just couldn't get their momentum going, and I think we're going to have to see that adjustment for game 2. They've got to be able to match this aggression from AG.
Absolutely. Well, we'll find out very soon how they do go in game 2, John, as we are going to head to a 10-minute break. Right after that 10-minute break, we'll be back with game number 2 between MY and Army Geniuses.